Well, your offense isn't scuffling anymore.
Yeah, we broke out tonight. It was good. Good at bats. Obviously, you know, big swings, taking walks. Situation we were okay, but yeah, we got a lot of 2-out hits tonight, and that was big. So just up and down the lineup, a lot of good stuff.
And we've harped a lot on Shohei. What do you like from his at bats?
Patience. You can clearly see that you know, Ray wasn't going to give in to him, and it was just good to see Shohei just take his walks and you know, just pass the baton, and you know, guys behind him did a nice job today. You know, it's nice to see Teo get off the schneid a little bit. Andy took a couple good swings, and you know, Hae-Song continues to get 2-out hits, which is great. And you know, Alex had a nice day. So Muncy, talked to him earlier and wasn't feeling well, and you know, we kind of just talked and, you know, give us what you got, give us 3 at bats, and you know, that's what we did. And so got him out of there, felt good about, you know, getting him 3 at bats, and then, you know, giving it to Santiago, and then Max will be down tomorrow, and then be back in there on Monday. But yeah, couldn't have went any better.
Seemed to go from, you know, having a bit of a team scuffle to an inning like the 4th where everyone was just passing the baton. Like, what's the biggest difference in the at-bats?
Yeah, you know, I think that just being able to get those 2-out hits, I think that's kind of what it was. You know, staying to the middle of the field. Andy did that. Hae-Song stayed in the middle, and then Teo, you know, line drive the other way. You know, taking walks when we needed to. So just I think it was just nice that we were diligent, you know, in our process as far as doing that today, and it worked out.
You guys have hit a lot of home runs this year, but are those kind of rallies almost more what you want, like the identity of the offense to be like, where you kind of string together big innings and quality at bats like that?
Yeah, it is, and we all love home runs, but you know, sort of a hallmark for our club is just kind of stress and continuing to kind of put pressure on the opposing pitchers. And you know, you look at the last week, we really haven't done that. You know, we might have scored, you know, 3 in 1 inning, and then we just nothing happens after that. But continuing to apply pressure is kind of what we typically do, and we did that tonight.
When you know the state of the other team's bullpen, just how much more impactful is that kind of approach?
It is, and you can see. I mean, they're in it as far as the uses. They've won a lot of games in a row, and so for us to be able to get to their bullpen and sort of, you know, get their low leverage guys in the game, and that was good. And we did what we needed to do. And you know, tomorrow they got Imanaga and we got Robleski, so you know, both pens should be kind of reset in some sense, and so it should be a good one tomorrow.
Especially considering what happened yesterday, how big was that 6th inning with Dreyer and Klein?
Yeah, you know, I just felt that, you know, Roki, and I thought tonight was Roki's best outing. I don't think the line kind of does it justice. Gave up 3 homers, but the swing and miss, the end zone. All that stuff I really liked. You know, I'd love to have back that the hap walk, the hit batsman by Amaya. But outside of that, really good stuff to build off of. And then, you know, with Dreyer, you know, you don't want to lose Ballesteros when you got count leverage, but then he comes back and gets to righty than the lefty, which was huge. And then Klein came in and got a grounder and then pitched that next inning. So really good stuff from both those guys. And then obviously Kyle looked really good again. And then we got Eater in there. So yeah, it couldn't have been any better today.
Was that a difference?
What's that?
Was that a different splitter Roki was throwing today?
It was harder. It was harder. So I think that him and Connor and Mark were working on, you know, some things and kind of wanted to add a little bit more velocity to it, so it simulates the fastball more versus like, you know, some type of off-speed pitch. So a little bit more, because I think you saw today is kind of 91-ish, right around there.
Roki got his first win today. If he's going well, I mean, the importance of that guy in the back end of your rotation, tell me the value of him.
Well, it's just important for his development. You know, right now he's at the back end. He's still developing. He hasn't pitched a whole lot of, you know, major league innings, let alone professional innings. So for him to keep getting better, each outing is crucial. But I think, yeah, I think that getting deeper into a game is important. And then as he gets more seasoned, you start kind of eliminating those, you know, young mistakes as far as the 0-2 to 4-2 walks and, you know, hitting a guy, you know, in the 8-hole, the 9-hole, you know, things like that, that we can certainly get better at.
In his first 4 starts, it wasn't like Roki was pitching in a way that was setting him or the team back necessarily, but maybe was a little stagnant, not taking enough steps forward. Given what you saw with the splitter today, the overall arsenal, do you think this was the first start that he can really build upon going forward?
I do, but I will say that there's still things that I felt that each outing he got a little bit better on, but I do think that this outing today is something that is a bigger step forward. And yeah, he hasn't set us back at all. And you know, we're taking this on as far as his growth, but today was a really good one, and I hope he feels the same way about his outing.
With the harder split, is the advantage just kind of command and predictability, or why that?
I think it's more. It's more tunneled like the fastball, and I think that you would think that you're going to get more swing and miss, and I think today with that split, it stays in the hitting zone a little bit longer, and makes that hitter make a decision a little sooner.
Better or worse, it kind of seems like he had a pretty clear idea of who he was, and maybe he was a little bit stubborn about that for a while. The fact, how do you know, now in here it kind of looks like, okay, he sounds like he's more open to doing new things. How do you kind of balance those two things of, you know, I guess him making kind of adjustments without maybe taking away the things that kind of made him different?
Yeah, I think that this is something that we're you know, with a player that you don't know and you don't have a lot of history with, you got to play that balancing act of building trust and letting them find their way a little bit while kind of keeping an eye on what you feel there's some opportunities to get better. And I think that our pitching staff has done a really good job of that. And so not really pushing things on him, but now, yeah, he's certainly much more open, and to do that in the middle of a season and to kind of, you know, change the profile of a certain pitch, which has been your bread and butter pitch, is a lot of trust and growth for Roki.